of this session. If you'd like access to the recording of this session, as well as the slides that I'm going to be using, just to walk you through this session, make sure to fill the attendance form that my colleagues are going to be dropping shortly in the chat. All right, you'll see a link shortly. Just click on that link, put in your name and your email address, because that's the only way we'll be able to get the recording across to you. All right, that is very important if you need the recording of this session. Now, who is this person that has been speaking to you for the past, what now, 5 minutes? My name is Elizabeth Nana. I am a product manager, a senior agile project manager, as well as a clarity coach here at Tenalytics, with half a decade of experience in product and project management. Now, I would call myself a skilled leader. I mean, a lot of people do that, and also a coach for agile teams. And I've been able to consistently drive impactful results across multiple, industries and sectors. Now, as a clarity coach, I help aspiring professionals such as the people on this call today listening to me, aspiring professionals such as yourself gain direction, gain the confidence that you need, as well as actionable steps that you need to transition into rewarding tech careers. It doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter your region or where you're joining from. All right. Now, personally, I've also trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents, looking to break into tech. And my experience spans multiple sectors, including legal tech, health tech, fintech, that's financial technology, as well as educational technology, where I have been able to apply my deep knowledge. All right.
I'm good.
Can we mute the mic of everyone on this session, please? All right. Thank you. So enough about me. Moving on now. What are we here to learn about? What are we doing here today? So today I'm going to be walking you through how you can land your very first work from home tech job with no experience. Again, it doesn't matter your sector, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your region, where you're joining from. I will be walking you through how you can land your very first work from home job, or in other words, some people say remote, how you can land your very first remote job with no prior experience. I'll also help you understand the technical and the employability skills that you need in order for you to get a job. And finally, I'll be talking to you about, our upcoming cohorts as well, and, the success stories that we have. So let's get started. Now, for a lot of us on here, breaking into tech is scary. I mean, it's a very scary concept, especially for someone with no experience, right? You start to think to yourself, how do I do this? For a lot of people, it's the fear of age, thinking that, oh, I'm no longer so young. I'm in my 40s. How do I just get into tech? How do I start my career all over again? What do I do? I don't have any technical background. I don't have a tech experience. As long as you're interested, I want to tell you this today. As long as you're interested, you can 100% break into tech. You just need the right teaching. Okay, as long as you're interested, you can get into tech. It doesn't matter if you have the experience or not. Now, there's so many wonderful jobs that are available for the taking, whether you're coming from a science background, whether you're coming from an arts background, and whether you're coming from no background at all, whether you are, coming from the not the white collar jobs now. So let's say you're coming from a farming background, there are roles for you to get into. Now, this session is going to actually be very, very interesting. I will be walking you through the different programs or the different career paths that you can get into. And then what I'll also do, so you might want to stick around for this. I'll also be telling you, so every single time I explain, a career path, I will tell you the characteristics that you need to be able to fit into that career path, the kind of background that you need to be able to fit into that career path. So you just listening to me, you're already able to figure out where you fall in. All right. Once again, very important that you fill the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat. All right. So you can get the access to the recording of this session as well as the slides. Now, before we, start all the mumbo jumbo, I want to talk to you about some of the people, just some. Okay, because if I start to talk about all of them, we'll probably be on this session for over five hours. Now, I've had people transition from being medical practitioners into tech. right? These are people from the science background. So again, to drive on my points that regardless of your background, there is a role for you in tech as long as you're interested. We have someone like Evelyn who transitioned from being a nurse for over 15 years into becoming a data engineer. We have someone like Dr. Rome who transitioned from being a medical doctor to a data analyst. We have someone like Toyin who transitioned from being a pharmacist, when she was back home in Nigeria, and then when she moved into the UK, she got a job as a data analyst. We also have people from the non-science, background as well. Someone like Temi, who was a lawyer and was able to transition into business analysis. We have Osalbo, who transitioned from being a salesperson to a business analyst. And we also have Ngozi, who transitioned from being a customer service rep to a business analyst, a fully remote role. All right. Now, a lot more success stories. Of course, we have Ikmat, who moved from being a full-time stay-at-home mom in the UK to, becoming a data analyst and landing a job. Now, across these different, these short success stories I just shared with you, right? There is one thing in common for all of them. There was a strategy that was followed to the T. And if you join me at the beginning of this session, I mentioned that 10 Analytics has helped over 3,400 people. Now, this is the strategy that we use. This is the approach that we use. And it's really three-pronged. So it's very simple. You have to learn, you have to package, and you have to apply. All right. The very first thing you want to do if you're looking to land a remote job that would offer you more flexibility, whether it's because you're trying to, have more time to spend with your kids, because I understand how these things can be, once you start a family, whether it's because you just want to work from home, the stress is too much, especially if you currently work in care, right? Or if you're not currently working, you're a stay-at-home mom, you have toddlers around, and you don't really want to go back to the office, but you know that you want, better for yourself. Again, there's a program for everybody. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to identify the in-demand careers. Yes, there are careers everywhere. But again, you want to think about stability, all right, job security. So you want to make sure that you're not getting into a career that is going to become obsolete in the next maybe 2 years, right? So you want to think about stability, and then you want to think about the careers that are in demand. A lot of people make this mistake. You hear about a new tech course and you go ahead to like register for the course. And after doing the course, you're unable to land jobs. Now, that is because you did not verify or validate to make sure that that course or that career path was actually in demand. Now, here at 10 Analytics, we have 10 carefully curated programs that we offer. All right. Wonderful career pathways, because we have looked at the different regions and these are the in-demand career paths currently, at least for the next 10 years. So we have data analytics, we have data science, we have data engineering, we have business analysis, we have cybersecurity, we have financial analytics, we have agile project management, HR analytics, DevOps engineering, and product design. So once you identify which of these, career paths fits your personality, fits your work background or your work experience, fits your educational background, the next thing you want to do is you want to package. All right. Now, when we talk about packaging, we talk about the employability skills that we offer here at 10 Analytics. The first one is revamping your CV. 3 months into the program, we are going to be revamping your CV for you. What that means is we'll ask you to submit your current CV as is, and then we will revamp it for you and make that CV ATS friendly. Now, ATS, for people who don't know, means applicants tracking system. And this is what global recruiters are using to filter through CVs today. All right. So for every job posting that you see out there, best believe there is an ATS behind that job posting. Now, what is usually done is that, the recruiters would program the ATS to look for specific words in CVs that are submitted. All right. So the recruiter could say, I want you to look for the word Sylvia in any CV that is submitted. So what that means is if you submit a CV that does not have that keyword that the recruiter has programmed the ATS to look out for, the ATS flings your resume in the bin. It's pretty simple. All right. So you're out here applying for jobs, and waiting for callbacks, and you don't even hear back from them. Or, one day later, less than 24 hours later, you get the, we are sorry to inform you automated message. A lot of times it's because an actual human being did not even get to see your CV. And that's because your CV was not ATS friendly. Now, that is something that we want to take off your shoulders. You don't have to worry about it, especially if you don't have any experience with ATS. We have professionals on the team that assist with this. So we're going to revamp your CV for you 3 months into the program. We're also going to teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. This is how you're able to strategically position yourself for success out there. All right. So when you're going about your daily life, your daily activities, just minding your business, you could possibly be getting headhunted by a recruiter on LinkedIn. Now, if you joined the session at the very beginning, we had a testimonial playing from, someone who was able to land a job from being an absolute beginner. She had a background in engineering, if I remember correctly. And 2 months into the program, into the data science program, she landed a job. And how did she land this job? A recruiter reached out to her on LinkedIn. She didn't apply to the job. Someone reached out to her and said, "We're very impressed with your profile. Would like to have, a conversation with you because there's a vacancy in our company." So this is, something that is very much achievable. And we'll be teaching you how you can also optimize your LinkedIn profile. Next, we'll teach you how to build a portfolio. Now, your portfolio is your workshop. All right. When I talk to people about portfolios, I like to talk about, when you want to buy a car and then you go to a dealership, a car dealership. All right. You go to that dealership, you look around, you take a look at all the cars that they have. Sometimes you could request for maybe specific models, specific colors, and so on and so forth. But then you are able to test drive the cars. You're able to ask questions. Oh, does this car have a turbo engine? What is the budget for this car? Can I, test drive or, just see how the engine sounds, sit in the car, start it, and just perceive the smell of brand new leather. Now, that car dealership that we're talking about, that is exactly what your portfolio is to you when you're applying to jobs, right? It is the workshop or the dealership that the recruiters can step into and take a look at the work that you have done before. So it is what serves as proof of concept for you. It is what serves as evidence that you actually know what you are saying. You have the skills that you're claiming to have. Because again, it's more than just having a beautiful CV. I could sit down right now, just give me 30 minutes, and I would create a wonderful, ATS friendly, stunning CV for my 5-year-old niece. Very, very, very easy to do in 30 minutes. However, you also need to be able to defend that CV. Yes, your CV is what gets your first foot in the door in the first place. That's how you get called back, for an interview, or you know, even if you don't get called back for an interview yet, but once they see your CV and they see a lot of just wonderful experiences, and they're like, okay, this person is looking pretty interesting, right? How do they validate? Even before they invite you for the interview, how do they validate to make sure that, you are actually everything that you say you are? That is where your portfolio, your showroom, that is where it comes in. So we'll be teaching you how to build a portfolio. And you might be wondering, Elizabeth, I'm an absolute beginner. So if I build a portfolio, what will I have in my portfolio? I'm coming to that. All right. So here at 10 Analytics, we also have a project-based environment, meaning you will be working on projects with us. That's simply what it means. All right. So you're going to be working on projects with us, and those projects that you work on are the projects that you will house in your portfolio and show recruiters that, look, these are samples of some of the work that I have done. All right, this is how I use these tools. And of course, because you worked on the project repeatedly, of course, under supervision, but you did it yourself. All right, you are able to defend it anywhere, anytime, no matter the kind of trick, questions that a recruiter throws at you, you're able to defend that project and defend your portfolio. We also offer mentorship. All right, every single person in our training programs, you're entitled to mentorship. You get weekly mentorship just to get you in the right headspace and to listen to industry experts as well. Learn one or two things from them as regards how to navigate the job market, especially in an unfamiliar terrain. Okay, so for people who have moved from their birth country, you have relocated, maybe you've relocated to the US, you've relocated to Canada, to the UK, or you're planning to relocate, you need tools. And when I say tools, you need tools, you need to learn from people who have actually been in your shoes before. So when I say experience is the best teacher, you don't always have to experience everything by yourself. You can learn from other people's experiences as well. So you have mentorship sessions every single week, and then we also prep you for interviews. Okay. So every single time you land an interview, we work on your CV, we send it to you. We optimize your LinkedIn profile, teach you how to do that, teach you how to tailor your CV to fit the job description of multiple roles, right? We teach you how to build your portfolio, how to house your project on those portfolio. When you get a call back for an interview, it doesn't matter how many interviews you get. If you land 200 interviews, we are available to prep you 500 times. All right? Because for you to get a job, it is almost as important to us as it is to you. All right. So we'll prep you for the interviews. Every single interview that you get, we're going to prep you. We're going to teach you how to answer the interview questions. What are some of the what are some of the likely questions that you should be expecting? And when you hear these questions, how do you answer them? What are the frameworks that you can use? Frameworks are very important because when a lot of times when we get into interviews, we get nervous. It happens to the best of us. It doesn't matter the kind of experience that you have. Even with all of my years of experience, if I get into an interview today, I'm going to feel the nerves. All right. But what helps to, stop you from just rambling? Because that is something that I've noticed, right? Even being on the other end, interviewing people, you ask people some questions and they just start rambling and you know that they're nervous. Now, how do you stop yourself from rambling? What are the frameworks that you can use? What are the bullet points that you can use? What is the structure you can use to answer questions, to keep everything in perspective and to not bore your recruiter? We're going to teach you all of this. Now, of course, we also offer job reference and recommendation letters. So you land your job, your dream role, and the very last step, is them trying to verify your identity. And they ask you, submit two references. Now you can put down our name here at 10 Analytics as well as our partner company, Amdari. I'll be talking to you about Amdari shortly, but you can put down our name, as a previous employer. And then that organization can reach out to us and we'll give them a glowing recommendation on your behalf. And then we also offer on-the-job support. Now, of course, I've said it earlier that a lot of people are able to land jobs during the course of the training, not even at the end. 3 months in, 4 months in, you have people landing jobs. So I'm sure the question on a lot of us, on our minds right now is, I'm not done with the program. I'm not done with the training yet. What happens if I land a job and then on the job, I cannot deliver, right? We are here for you. That is exactly why 10 Analytics is here. So, your very first month into your new role, you get some tasks that you're asked to execute. You don't exactly know how to go about it. You can always come back to us here at Analytics, book a one-on-one session with us, and we'll provide guidance on how you can execute that task on the job. All right. So we offer on-the-job support as well. Now that's about, packaging yourself. Again, I want to stress and overemphasize the importance of packaging. Packaging is very, very important. You could have the best skills. You could be the most fantastic data analyst, the most fantastic business analyst, the best project manager. But if you cannot package yourself, if you cannot put yourself in a beautiful, shiny packaging that would attract people to you in the first place, you would struggle to land a work from home job. Take it from me because I've been there. All right. So packaging is very, very important. It's not enough to just learn. You learn, then you package yourself. You don't package yourself without having the skills. You need to have the skills, but packaging is equally as important as well. And then the next thing, the final step in this three-pronged approach is to apply like a machine. Again, job applications is a numbers game, but you don't want to be making generic job applications. You don't want to be doing that. All right. So you want to make sure that you're tailoring every application to fit the job that you're applying for. It is very important, and this is something that will teach you how to do as well. Remember, I talked about the ATS. Okay. So you are going to learn as much as we work on your CV for you, we will also teach you how you can do it for yourself in the future. So how do you tailor your CV and your application to fit every single job role that you're applying to? And then, of course, you're sending in at least 10 quality applications per day. Don't send one application in and then be waiting for a month to hear back from them. Every day, make sure that you're sending in at least 10 applications, applying to at least 10 jobs, quality applications. All right. And then, of course, you're tapping into hidden job markets, paid job markets. Here at 10 Analytics, we also pay to get access to jobs. And we do this so you don't have to. So every single month, we're spending a good amount of money, on subscriptions to paid job boards, which we then go ahead to scrape, right? So when we pay for them and we get access to them on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, we go into those job boards and then we scrape the jobs on there and we send them to you. So basically, we're taking the link, the job description, and so on and so forth, and we send them to you. So you are basically getting it for free. All right, you're getting it for free. We send them to you, and then you are able to apply to these jobs. Now, these are premium jobs. These are jobs that you would not necessarily see on LinkedIn, on Indeed, and so on and so forth. These are remote jobs, jobs that offer full visa sponsorship, if that is also something that you're looking at getting as well. Now, if you can follow this approach to the T, all right, that is how you would be able to land your dream job. Okay, now let's not waste too much time on this. Let's move on. We have some more success stories. I kind of don't want to just, waste time on the success stories because I have all of these stories, all of the testimonials, video testimonials and evidence, linked on my slides. All right. So make sure once again that you're filling the attendance form so that you can get my slides right after this session. Once you get the slides, you have the links to all these videos on the slides. You can watch them and listen to what these people had to say and their experiences, with Analytics and how we're able to help them land a job. Now, let's take a look at Judith, for example. Judith was someone who had absolutely no background in tech whatsoever. Now, back in Nigeria, she had a background in HR. And then she moved to the UK and she started working as a carer. Now, I'm sure a lot of us on here were very familiar with, that circumstance, right? Regardless of your qualifications in your birth country, when you immigrate, the usually the first course of action or the first line of action in order for you to secure, a sponsorship is to start to work as, a support worker or as a carer. Now, Judith started working as a carer in the UK, but she knew that she wanted more for herself. All right. So the first thing Judith did was that she learned. She identified an in-demand career path that she wanted to get into, that she fit into the most. And that was business analysis. Now, she completed that program in March. All right. And of course, she packaged herself. She learned how to tailor her CV to that of a business analyst. We also worked on a CV for her. She joined all the job mentorship sessions. She got prepped for multiple interviews. All right. Now, Judith was also applying to jobs, multiple jobs, both in the UK and also in the US, because remember, the goal for her was to get a work from home job, right? Now, she applied to multiple jobs. She was able to apply to them using the 10 Analytics job board, which is the premium, job board I explained earlier. And she made sure to tailor every single application. Now, remember this. Judith completed a program in March. By July, she landed a business analyst job in the US, working remotely from the UK. Again, tech is without borders. It doesn't matter where you are. She was able to land a fully remote job working remotely from the UK, and the company that she's working for is in the US. She got the job less than 4 months after the completion of her training. Let's move on. Now, we want to start to talk about, just do a deep dive into, these different approaches, right? The first one is learn. Like I said, you want to identify an in-demand career path. Get crystal clear on the target roles. What are the roles that you are targeting? Now, I mentioned earlier that here at Analytics, we have 10 carefully curated programs that we offer. Now, what I'm going to explain to you is what we do and how we were able to come about these 10 programs that we offer. The first thing that we do every single year is that we conduct a job board analysis. All right. Now, what that means is we're looking at the different job boards. You have LinkedIn, you have Indeed, you have Total Jobs, Monster, you have Built-in, and so on and so forth. And we look at all these different job boards for the jobs with the highest occurring listings. Now, let me break this down for you. What that means is that, let's say, for example, in 2025, okay, we took a look at the different job boards and then we're able to identify, we saw maybe, hypothetically, we saw 100,000 job postings for data analysts. What that signifies is that that is a career path that is very much in high demand. If in 2025 alone, we're seeing 100,000 job postings for that particular role, then that is a role that is very much in high demand. So we carried this analysis, we carried out this analysis across the different job boards. And then the next thing we did was we went onto the World Economic Forum. All right. We took a look at the Future of Jobs report. I also have this report linked on my slide. Make sure to fill the attendance form so you can get access to this. We took a look at the World Economic Forum and they validated what we found. Now, the World Economic Forum highlighted jobs that were increasing or purported to increase in demand in the next at least 5 years and the jobs that will be destroyed. And what we're able to see from the reports is that the 10 programs that we offer, we also highlighted on that report as jobs that, are going to continue to grow in demand. Again, when I started talking earlier, I talked about job security and stability. You want to make sure that any tech course or any tech career path you're getting into is not something that would easily be taken over by AI. It's something that is future proof. And that is exactly what we did here. Now, the last thing we also did was to carry out regional analysis. What that meant was we looked at the different regions, took a look at the UK, right? And then we made sure that these 10 programs that we offer are eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. So if you're looking to get a job that offers visa sponsorship, these 10 programs qualify for that. We also took a look at the US, the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rate, and we took a look at Canada as well. And that was how we're able to arrive at these 10 programs. I'll list them again. We have business analysis, we have data analytics, we have data science, we have data engineering, we have project management, agile project management, we have cybersecurity, HR analytics, financial analytics, DevOps engineering, and finally, product design. I just walked you through how we arrived at these 10 programs. Now, when you're learning, you want to make sure that you're learning with a blend of self-paced learning materials, all right, as well as instructor-led classes. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is you feel like you can learn by watching free YouTube videos alone. Now, while those are wonderful resources, all right, free resources, there are lots of wonderful resources out there. You do not necessarily have anybody holding your hand. You don't have anybody that you can ask question when locked. Now we have a blend of, videos that you can watch at your own time and your own pace. Because again, this is the real world. I understand that a lot of us on here, we have our day to day, we have our 9 to 5s, we have our jobs, the jobs that put food on the table. So I want to make sure that we are not overwhelming you with too many classes. We can't tell you to start up, attending classes every day. You have to work. You have to take care of your family. You have to study if you're currently taking your master's and so on and so forth. There's so many variables in there. So what we did was we're going to provide you, we built a learning management system. It's called an LMS. And then we're going to provide you with pre-recorded videos of our instructors walking you through how you can, use all of these different tools that you'll be learning that is unique to the program that you choose. We're going to come to that shortly. All right, just stay with me. The tools that are unique to the program that you chose, and then you are also going to see how to work on projects using these tools. Now, that is not all. You also get to attend live classes. All right, where you can see your facilitator, just like you can see me right now. But then the difference is you can unmute your mic and speak. Your facilitator is sharing their screen, they're explaining the concepts to you, they're walking you through projects, they're assigning projects to you. You can raise up your hand and ask questions if you don't understand. All right, and all live sessions are always recorded. So you can see a snapshot from one of our classrooms, on my screen. That's what it looks like. So after every live class, the recording is uploaded in your classroom so that any single time you need access to that recording, you can go there and watch. So whether you missed the live class or you attended, but there's some things that, you weren't paying attention, or sometimes some of us, we don't learn immediately. We don't pick up concepts immediately. We have to watch it maybe 2 times or 3 times to fully understand. Now, we made allowances for all of that. So you're going to have lifetime access to all of these resources. All right. Now, let's talk about the money aspect of it. Again, it's not enough to just know that these career paths are in high demand. The question is, do they pay well? All right. Now, I went ahead to also add average compensation for all these different career paths. You can see the average comp for business analysts in the UK. Average, by the way, what that means is that, there are organizations that offer higher. All right. But we just put it at a safe benchmark. In the UK, as a beginner business analyst, you should be looking at around an average of £52,000. All right. As your comp. In Canada, that should be around 74,400 Canadian dollars. And in the US, about 85,000 US dollars, right? As a business analyst. Again, average. We have data analytics where in the UK, you have an average comp of £47,000. In Canada, you have 64,000 Canadian dollars, and in the US, you have 72,000 pounds. Now, I went ahead to add all the comps on here. So once you get the slides, you can go over them. But just to show you that not only are these career paths in high demand, they also pay well. You're looking for a remote job, right? That would offer you visa sponsorship, all right, and will pay you well. You want a job that pays more than what you're currently earning. You're trying to increase your earning power. Then you need to register for one of these programs. These are the career paths that will take you to the next level. All right. Very shortly, I'm going to be explaining all of these different career paths so you also know where you fit in. Now, the second prong on the approach is packaging. All right. You want to craft a magnetic job ready profile. I talked about the importance of having a shiny packaging because that's how you're able to attract people in the first place. Is how, ants are attracted to sugar. All right. So you need to package yourself properly so that recruiters are even, they're intrigued. They want to hear what you have to say. That is very important. Now, before you start packaging, I also just want to mention, because this is equally as important, before you start packaging, there's something that I want you to remember. It would always be competence over credentials. Earlier today, I was speaking to someone who, told me, that he had just his YX certificates. If you're from Nigeria, you know what that means. He had just his high school certificate and he wanted to know if it was possible for him to land, a remote tech role with that. And I told him yes. Look, what recruiters are looking out for right now is your portfolio, evidence, that you can actually do what you say you can do. They want someone with the skills. Yes, your credentials will probably give you a leg up. When you say you have this credential and that credential, it could give you a leg up. But if you don't have the skills, your credentials are useless. So it is very important because I said we need to package. It doesn't mean that you should start running after certifications. No. All right. When I say you want to package yourself, you must have the skills first. Now, let's take a look at something very interesting that Elon said. This was last year, by the way, but I found it very interesting. So almost all of my slides I added because I want more people to see and just learn from this. Now, Elon is one of the richest men in the world. I'm sure every single person on this call must have heard of Elon at some point in their lives, right? And then Elon posted this on X, formerly known as Twitter. And he said, if you are a hardcore software engineer and you want to build the everything app, please join us by sending your best work. Now, when they say best work, what they're asking for is your portfolio. Please join us by sending your best work to XYZ email. Now, he goes on to say, we don't care where you went to school. We don't care if you went to Harvard, if you went to Yale. I don't want to know about that. I don't care about that. That's basically what he's saying. We don't even care if you even went to school. We don't want to know the big name company you have worked at before. Just show us your code. That's all. So whether you are, someone who you don't have the credentials, you don't have the certification, you didn't go to Harvard, you didn't go to an Ivy League school, it doesn't care about that. Bring your portfolio so I can take a look at your portfolio and see that, oh, you actually know how to code, and that's how you're going to get hired. This is what one of the richest men in the world is saying today. The era of certifications is over. Nobody cares. They want you to show them your skills and your experience. Now, as a beginner, how do you build these skills and this experience to land these remote jobs? That's exactly why we're here today. Let's talk about Hope. Hope was one of our participants, she had the project management certification. already. She went ahead, she wrote the examination, she passed, she had the fancy certifications. She paid a lot of money, right? Okay. And she got the certification. But then after getting the fancy certifications, Hope was unable to land a job in Canada. And the reason for this was very simple. She did not have a portfolio. So yes, she had the fancy certificates. Now going back to what Elon said, she had the fancy certificates. All right. And she's applying to jobs thinking, you know what, I have this certification. This is going to, make people hire me. But she was unable to land a job. Now, what she did was she came back to the classroom. She joined our project management program in September. And, 3 months in, she got a job in December, still in the training. Okay. Now, what helped her was when she joined our project management program, she was able to get practical skills. She was able to build a portfolio that would now show recruiters that, yes, I have this certification, but this is proof of my skills and my experience. That was what actually helped her to land a job 3 months into the program. Now, Hope secured a job as a project analyst in Canada. This could be you as well. All right. Remember that the testimonials are linked on my slides. I also have wonderful portfolios, sample portfolios from our previous participants linked on my slides as well. So go ahead to fill the attendance form. Now, in order for you to craft a magnetic job ready profile, it is very important, like I said earlier, that you build a portfolio and then, you also have the employability skills that I explained earlier. Your CV is ATS friendly. You have optimized your LinkedIn profile. You have had mentorship sessions in how you can navigate the job market. Every time you land an interview, you get prepped for that interview. You have access to job reference and recommendation letters. You have access to on-the-job support if you need it. You have access to weekly mentorship as well as Upwork optimization sessions. If you are looking to learn how to leverage Upwork to freelance, this is the combo that you need to craft a magnetic job ready profile. Now, the third thing you want to do is you want to apply like a machine, like I explained earlier. All right. You are going to be learning how you will tailor every single application to fit the job description of the role that you're applying for. You're sending out at least 10 quality applications and you're using the 10 analytics job board. Now you can see on my screen a snapshot from one of our data analytics class, and you see this simple tracker, very simple so that everybody can understand it, right? Where the job title is uploaded, the name of the company that is hiring is uploaded, the job location is uploaded. So we are telling you this job is in the UK, they're hiring, they're offering sponsorship, and it's a remote job. And then we send you this tracker. You're able to see at least 100 different jobs that you can apply to. So it's now left to you to go through the tracker, click on the links attached, and start applying to these jobs. So we have made it that simple for you. And these are the premium jobs that we pay to get, by the way. Like I said, we paid for them so you would not have to. All right. And then, of course, you have lifetime access to mentorship sessions. All right. All of these sessions are always recorded. And every single time you need to learn one or two or pick some nuggets from these sessions, you can navigate to your classroom and, rewatch all these different sessions. Now we have some more success stories. Again, there's so many of them. I'm not going to dwell too much on them. We have Ikmat, I mentioned earlier, was a full-time stay-at-home mom, and she moved to the UK to start her master's. She decided she wanted more for herself. She didn't just want to, yes, she was a mom. She didn't just want to, just stay at home with the kids. Now, because she had kids and she was a stay-at-home mom, she also wanted a work from home job. And Ikmat was able to secure a job as a data analyst with the NHS. And this job came with full visa sponsorship. Ramat was a customer success rep in the UK. She joined our business analysis training program and she secured a job as a business architect with the NHS. And this job also came with full visa sponsorship. Again, all of this is just proof that there are people just like yourself who have done this before, and you can also do this. Toyin worked as a pharmacist while she was in Nigeria. Toyin joined our data analytics program. She landed a job as a benefits analyst and she works with the NHS. And guess what? It also came with full visa sponsorship. All right. These are people that were transitioning, with no prior experience in tech. Look at Lois, for example, was an accountant and a procurement professional. She had zero experience in tech. Lois joined the business analysis training program and she secured a job as a project manager. Now, I want you to hold on to that. Lois joined the business analysis program and she was able to secure a job as a project manager in the UK. I want you to hold on to that because I'm going to be explaining how that was made possible very shortly. We also have Ngozi, who had a background in customer service. She, of course, is the one that I mentioned. She landed a job working with that organization in the US while she is located in the UK. And we have Oluwadamilare, who had no experience in tech, also joined our data analytics program and he landed a job as a sustainability data analyst in the UK. All of these success stories are linked on my slides. All right, all of them. You can see there are multiple ones. We have Pavel, who had experience, as a field service analyst, and he joined the 10 Analytics Data Analytics program, completed this program, in December, and he was able to secure a job as a healthcare data analyst, all right, in the US. So wonderful testimonials linked on my slides. Once you get them, take your time. All right, take your time to go through all of these different success stories. There's so many of them. There's so many. I'm tired of talking about them. Let's get right into business. What skills must you have right now to land a job, a work from home job in 2026? I mentioned the 10 programs we offer earlier. Now I'm going to be explaining them in depth. Now we have two different career paths on my screen right now. We have business analysis and then we have project management. Now these two career paths, if you are an extrovert, if you feel like you are someone who is very comfortable handling meetings, joining meetings, being at the forefront of teams, speaking to different stakeholders, then you want to get into either business analysis or agile project management. And I'll be explaining the difference between the two of them shortly. But if you know you're an extrovert, this is me helping you decide on which of these would be the best fit for you. So if you know that you love communication, if you have a background in marketing, you have a background in sales, you have a background in customer service, you have a background in, anything that requires you to speak. You studied mass communication in school. All right. As long as you have great communication skills, you should be looking at either business analysis or project management. And these two programs are two of the simplest programs that we offer here at Analytics. In fact, Agile Project Management is the simplest one. All right. So if you're also looking for something that is not going to stress you in any way, you're an absolute beginner, you want something that is not going to stress you, you love to handle meetings, you love to speak to stakeholders, then you can either go for, you can go for one of these two programs. Now, let me explain the project management first. Now, a project manager, right, is a coach or a facilitator, right? As a project manager, what you do is you manage a project team. Now, you are not going to be the person who has to be technical. So you don't have to write a single line of code. All right? Which is why it's very easy for you to do it regardless of your background. You're not going to be technical. Your job is to make sure that your project team are doing their job. So you are going to be in charge of the team of people who will be working on whatever projects that you're assigned to. Now, your job is to make sure that these people are able to deliver on this project within the three most important parameters of project management. Now, what are these three important parameters? You have your timeline, you have your scope, and you have your budget. Now, every single project on the face of God's green earth, all right, has a timeline. It could be that the project was slated to run for 2 years, was slated to run for 12 months, 6 months, 5 months, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Every single project has a timeline. Now, it is your job to make sure that your project team is able to deliver on this project within the specified timeline. That is very important. All right. So if it is 6 months, you're making sure that your project team is not exceeding that 6 months. That is your job. Now, the second important parameter is the budget. Every project has a budget. It could be 500,000 pounds. It could be $1 million. All right. Every project is assigned a budget or allocated a budget. You also want to make sure that your team doesn't overspend on that project. So if you got $500,000, you are awarded $500,000 for the project, you want to keep your spending within $500,000. Now, of course, there's so many things that you would need to spend money on. Salaries, you might need to get contractors, vendor agreements, equipment, and so on and so forth. It is your job to be, on top of all of those spendings, right? All of those expenses to make sure, once again, that you do not exceed the amounts that was allocated to that project. Now, a lot of times, the holes that I see often over and over again, the holes that I see or the pits that I see project managers fall into is not budgeting properly at the beginning of the project. Because when you get awarded a project and you hear that the project was awarded $1 million, it sounds like so much money. All right, you're like $1 million. There's no way. There's absolutely no way we are going to even finish spending that money. And so they don't plan properly. And there's a saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you don't plan properly, I promise you $1 million is going to seem like $1,000. In a couple of months, you just find out that the money is gone, and then you cannot account for, where the money went to. So if you're not planning properly as a project manager, your project has already started failing before you even started the project. Now, the last but not the least important parameter as a project manager that you should be concerned about is the scope. And when we talk about scope, we talk about the boundaries of work of that project. Now, simply put, what I ordered versus what I got. So it is your job as the project manager to make sure that whatever it is that, was agreed upon with the clients, right, at the beginning of the project is what is actually delivered to that client at the end of the project. In terms of quality, in terms of exactly what they asked for, and so on and so forth. So again, project management is very simple, yet it is complex, all right, because you will be managing people. And in order for you to get into project management, you need to be very comfortable with communication. Now, like I said, an absolutely beginner-friendly program. And then we're going to start off with introducing you to project management methodologies, the different techniques that you have in project management. And more than just introducing you to these techniques, we're also going to be teaching you how you can identify the best technique that you can apply to the specific projects. Every project has its unique needs. So you're able to look at this project and say, this is the methodology that would work best for this project. You're able to look at this project and say, this is the methodology that would work best for this particular project. And then we are also going to teach you the project management structure. Now we're going to walk you through the project's life cycle from your project initiation phase to your project planning phase to your project execution phase to monitoring and control and finally closure. The different phases that your project must pass through if you want to have a successful project at the end. And of course, we're teaching you all the necessary documentation that you need to have during the course of, these different activities, these different phases. How do you carry out a feasibility study when you are initiating the project? How do you come up with your business case? How do you come up with a project charter, which will serve as formal authorization for the project to begin? All right. How do you start to plan your project budget, and so on and so forth? I'm not going to bore you with the specifics, but every single thing that you need to know about project management and Scrum would be taught in this program. So if you complete this program, you're able to branch into Scrum. So if you're interested in, learning how to become a Scrum Master, all right, this is also the program for you. If you're interested in learning, how to get into, project management, if you want to become a project manager, an IT project manager, a project coordinator, a project analyst, and so on and so forth, this is the program for you. Like I said, this is the simplest one. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is 1 over 10. This is the simplest program we have here at Analytics. Now, if you have been listening to me for the past almost 1 hour and you feel like project management is for you, I want you to put a PM in the chat. So just put PM in the chat if you're interested in project management. This is just to make sure that I have not lost anybody. Let's put PM in the chat. I see Cecile, fantastic. Anyone else? At least one more person. Come on. At least one more person must be interested in project management. All right. Okay, I see. We were typing. So, oh, wow. Fantastic. A lot of people. All right. So I'm happy you have been able to identify, a role that works best for you. Project management, of course, you're able to land a job that would enable you to work from home. I should know. I'm a project manager and I work from anywhere in the world. All right. I could pick up my laptop and everything and be in Bali by tomorrow, and it does not affect my work in any way. Okay. So Clem says both. Well, Clem, you're going to have to choose one. But now I have a solution for people like Clem who cannot pick between business analysis and project management. I explained project management. Now I'm going to explain business analysis very quickly. The role of a business analyst is very similar to that of a project manager. Now, as a business analyst, you are in charge of processes. You optimize processes. So what that means is every single time you walk into any organization or any business, it doesn't matter the sector, it doesn't matter how large the organization is or how small the organization is. You're looking at how things are currently working in that organization and how you can make it better, not just for the organization, but also for the users that that organization serves. Okay, so what that means is they could have a process of maybe generating revenue. All right. And then by the time you take a look at that process, maybe that process was generating $500,000 for them in revenue before. Now, $500,000 is not bad, but by the time you take a look at the process, you are able to optimize that process and make it generate $800,000, a whooping $300,000 difference. Of course, now this is why business analysts are very much in high demand across different organizations and different sectors. Simply put, a business analyst is a problem solver. Now, every single time an organization has a problem with their processes, maybe they're no longer making enough money, maybe they have a problem with, their operations, things are not going well. The person that they seek out is a business analyst. All right. What this means is you can also act as a consultant. You can work for multiple firms as a business analyst. Now, for people like Clem who cannot choose between business analysis and project management, I'll do you one better. The business analysis program in itself is a powerhouse here at Analytics, because what we did was we went into data analytics and borrowed fantastic power tools from data analytics. And then we also went into agile project management and borrowed some courses from them as well. So you're going to be learning how to use Excel, Power BI, and SQL exactly the way a data analyst would. What that means is you can work as a data analyst after taking the business analysis program. Okay. You are also, of course, going to be learning your core business analysis courses. How do you map out processes? How do you optimize processes? All right. What is the software development lifecycle? How do you elicit requirements from your different stakeholders? But you also learn how to think like a project manager. So you learn how to initiate projects the exact same way a project manager that learns APM, Agile Project Management, will initiate that project. You learn how to plan for projects the exact same way a project manager would plan for a project. You learn how to execute projects. You learn how to monitor projects, and you learn how to close projects. Now, what that means for you is that after taking this business analysis program, you can also work as a project manager. Now, let's go back just a few minutes, just rewind a little bit. I spoke about Lois earlier, a professional who had background in procurement, and she took the business analysis program and she landed a job as a project manager in the UK. Now, with business analysis, it is very versatile. It is, one of my favorite programs, quite frankly, because you're able to land a job in data, you're able to land a job in business analysis, and you're also able to land a job in project management. So for people like Clem, if you have before this session been you have been stuck between the both of them, you don't know where to go, you don't know if you should pick business analysis or if you should pick project management, then go for business analysis. If you are confused, just go straight for business analysis. All right. Now, I want you to put questions. I can see a couple of questions already, but just put all your questions in the chat and stick with me till the end of the session. Once I'm done with the session, there's going to be a Q&A. All right. I don't mind staying here for an extra 1 hour to answer every single person's question. So just put your questions in the chat. We'll, come back to that. All right. Now, as a business analyst, like I mentioned earlier, you have more job opportunities available to you. You can apply to data analytics roles. You can apply to project management roles, as well as business analysis too. So these two, if you are a good communicator, all right? If you're a fantastic communicator, you love to speak to people, you're an extrovert, you love to have meetings and do presentations, you can go for these two programs. Let's move on to the next. Now, these three programs, I love to refer to them as brothers. All right. These are the data brothers. We have the data analyst, we have the data scientist, and we have the data engineer. Now, if you love to work in the background, then you want to go for a data role. I talked about business analysis and project management earlier, and I said if you love to be at the forefront, you love having meetings, you love communicating with people, so you are an extrovert, all right, as a business analyst or as a project manager. Now, if you prefer to work in the background, if you're not so great with communication, then you want to be looking at a data role. Now, for these data roles, we have three, and I'm going to explain them according to their level of difficulty. So I used an analogy earlier. I said I love to refer to these three as brothers. The youngest brother or the last child is the data analyst. And what that means is data analytics is the simplest one of the three of them. Anybody can be a data analyst. It doesn't matter your background. All right. Anybody, whether you're a midwife, you're a farmer, you're a pharmacist, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, anybody can be a data analyst if you want to. Now, data analytics does not require any form of advanced technicalities whatsoever. Your job as a data analyst is to analyze and interpret data for organizations. Now, every single organization on the face of this earth has data. Even here at Analytics, we have data. Okay. So what that means is we have a team of in-house data specialists that help us interpret our data. By virtue of us using Zoom for this session right now, we are generating data for Zoom. So every organization has data. And of course, that just shows that data analytics is also a career path that is very much in high demand because organizations need someone to make sense of their data for them. Now, your job as a data analyst is to analyze and to interpret data. And you do this by, analyzing what we call historical data. Historical data means events that has happened in the past, events that happened this morning, something that happened last week, something that happened 2 years ago, something that happened 10 years ago. As long as it has already happened, you are able to take a look at that data and generate insights from that data. As a data analyst, regardless of the sector you work in, healthcare, finance, education, it doesn't matter, even oil and gas, all right? You answer two questions and two questions only. Now, I want the introverts in the house, people who love to work in the background. I want us to pay attention. So you are able to select which of these programs best fits you. As a data analyst, you answer two questions and two questions only. What happened and why did it happen? The what and the why. And you answer these two questions by carrying out what we call descriptive analysis for what happened, and then diagnostic analysis for why it happened. So, very quick analogy. Let's say you're a data analyst right now here at Analytics, right? And this is March. Or this is February of 2026. And we're taking a look at the data from January into February. And hypothetically speaking, we just find out that, oh, you know what? We had 20,000 participants register for our programs between January and February alone. 20,000 participants. Now, of course, that's a wonderful number. We're like, wow, that's a pretty good number. But then as any forward-thinking organization, what you're already thinking about is how, so if we've done 20,000 in 2 months, that means we can do 30,000 or we can do 40,000 in the next 2 months. We can double that number. Now, in order for you to be able to double that number, okay, in that organization, in this hypothetical Analytics organization, all right, you need to understand the data so that you can come up with effective strategies to double the number of participants. Just walk with me. So when Analytics takes a look at their data and they see that they got 20,000 participants between January and February, they go to their data analyst. Now I'm going to pick one name in the chats. And I'm going to say that person is the Analytics data analyst. So I see Antonia. Antonia says she's not good with communication. So Antonia would much rather, work in a data role. Now, Antonia is our data analyst here at Analytics. And, we go to Antonia and we say, hi, Antonia. So we've taken a look at the data and we saw that we got 20,000 participants or 20,000 students between January and February. We want to understand exactly where these students came from. so that we can double this number between March and April. So March and April, we want to do 40,000 instead. Now, remember the two questions I told you that data analysts answered, the what and the why. So Antonia proceeds to carry out a first type of analysis to find out what happened. And then when she carries out the analysis, you see that 20,000 participants, that number, she's able to break it down according to the region that these participants came from. So she's able to say, oh, wow, we had 20,000 participants, but out of that 20,000, about 10,000 came from the US market alone. We had 10,000 people register for our program from the US. Then we had 5,000 register from the UK. We had 3,000 register from Canada. We had 1,000 register from Ireland, and so on and so forth. She's able to break it down that way. So she's able to prepare that report and share with management, and they see exactly where these numbers of students came from. 10,000 from the UK, from the US, 5,000 from the UK, and so on and so forth. Now, remember that Antonia answers two questions. She has answered the first one now, which is the what. Then she wants to answer the why. Because the next question that is going to come out from any good leader's mouth is, Antonia, how come we got 10,000, participants from the US alone, and then we are only getting 1,000 participants from Ireland? Is it that people don't really like our services in Ireland? Maybe should we stop, and maybe focus all our attention on the US since we're getting so much participants from them? So you want to understand the behavior. Why? Why did we get 10,000 participants from the US and then we only got 1,000 from Ireland? Is it that in Ireland, people don't want to break into tech? So Antonia carries out the second type of analysis, which is what we call diagnostic, to understand why. Now, when Antonia carries out the second type of analysis, Antonia then figures out that, the way these people are registering for the program depends on how they actually find out about us, right? So yes, analytics is doing the work, but we are packaging. Let's go back to the importance of packaging earlier. We're packaging so much in the US. And so, of course, when people see the packaging, people are interested in the program. But then in Ireland, we're not really packaging, we're not really focusing our attention there. So even though there are a lot of people who want to break into tech in Ireland, because we're not packaging ourselves in a way that will interest them, they are not registering for our program. Now, what Antonia has just done is she has helped Tenalytics solve a problem they did not know that they had. Because what you're able to see is, okay, so we are focusing too much of our attention on the US. So we need to be able to split our attention across all these different regions so that when we're making 10,000 from the US, we're also getting 10,000 from Ireland, we're getting 10,000 from Canada, and so on and so forth. Now, Antonia has just used data, a mere spreadsheet that she was given to be able to make this analysis, right? And get these insights that would help the organization make decisions that can move them forward as a company. Antonia answers two questions as a data analyst: what and why. Like I said, data analytics, that's the youngest brother. That's the simplest one. So if you're an absolute beginner, you want something that will land you a job very fast, you want something that is high in demand, and you like to work in the background, data analytics is for you. Now let's go to the second brother, which is the data scientist. The data scientist is the elder brother of the data analyst. The data scientist is a bit more technical than the data analyst. Can a beginner get into data science? The answer is yes. But is data science harder, a little harder than data analytics? The answer is also yes. Now, who should be looking to get into data science? If you want to get into data science, maybe you have a science background, or even if you don't have a science background, you're interested in coding, because data science, contains coding. You're going to be learning Python programming just the way, a software engineer would learn how to code. You learn that in data science. Now, what is the difference between the data scientist and the data analyst? Remember, I said the data analyst answers two questions. The data scientist can answer three questions. What that means is the data scientist can do absolutely everything that the data analyst can do. And the data scientist can even do it in a better way. All right. So the data scientist can answer what happened, why it happened, and what will happen in the future. That means the data analyst can predict and tell you this is what is going to happen in 2028. This is what is going to happen in 2030 based off of this data. Now, the truth is that in our everyday life, we interact with data science without us knowing. If I have people on this session that use Apple Music, you use Spotify, you use YouTube, you use Netflix, right? You see how over time, when you start to watch shows on maybe Netflix or YouTube, over time, the platform starts to suggest similar shows for you to watch. Oh, you liked this. That means you might like this. Would you like to watch this movie? That is an example of data science. They are predicting based off of your pattern. All right. But let's not get too technical. The data scientist can do everything that the data analyst can do. Now, what that means is Antonia is a data analyst and Elizabeth is a data scientist. Now, if Antonia has 5 jobs available to her as a data analyst to apply to, and Elizabeth also has 5 jobs available to her as a data scientist to apply to, Elizabeth can also apply to Antonia's 5 jobs, making it 10 jobs available to Elizabeth, but only 5 available to Antonia. So basically, the data scientist can do everything that the data analyst can do and even do it better. All right. So you have more job opportunities available to you. Now, data science requires coding. Data science is a bit more technical than data analytics. But if you're interested in learning about AI, machine learning, AI automations, then you should be going for data science. Now, let's recap. Data analytics, the simplest one. You're an introvert, you want something very simple, you go for data analytics. If you're an introvert, but you want a bit of a challenge, you would like to learn coding, all right? Then you can go for data science. And then we have the hardest of them all, data engineering. Now, the data engineer is the eldest brother in the family. This is the most technical data brother. The data engineer is very different from the data analyst and the data scientist. Those ones answer questions. The data engineer is the one in charge of making sure that the data is even available in the first place. So it's similar to when you are building a home, right? And you have plumbers coming to the home to connect pipelines, right? For water to flow. They connect pipelines from maybe from a borehole or from a water source. They connect it to like a storage tank. And then from the storage tank, they connect it to different rooms in the house. So in your bathroom, in your kitchen, you have water and so on and so forth, right? That's exactly what a data engineer does. So they build pipelines, but now they're not building the pipelines for water. They're building the pipelines for data. They build pipelines that they connect, from a data source, maybe from the web, maybe through web scraping and so on and so forth. And they're able to extract, data from that data source. So just the way the plumber will extract water, from the water source from a borehole and then clean the water and transfer it to a storage tank, the data engineer would extract data, clean the data, and transfer it to a database. And then build pipelines that would make sure that anytime a data scientist needs data to analyze, anytime a data analyst needs data to analyze, they have data available to them. That is the job of the data engineer. Now, the data engineering program is technical. So if you do not already have a technical background, maybe you did not study computer science, you can still get it. But you just have to have it at the back of your mind that it is a very, very technical program. So I would recommend as an absolute beginner, you either start with data analytics or data science. Now, I want you to put in the chats. If you want to get into data analytics, put DA. If you want to get into data science, put DS. And if you want to get into data engineering, put DE. So I see T says DA, fantastic. Zoom user says DA as well. Mary says DA, wonderful. Okay, nobody wants to go into data science. Okay, Godfred says data science. Fantastic. Now, I love this little exercise because I can already see people choosing the career path that they want to get into. And that's exactly what the session is about. All right. Now, let's move on. So we've explained project management, we've explained business analysis, data analytics, data science, data engineer. Now we have these two guys here. we have the financial analyst, and we have the HR analyst. Now, these two people are types of data analysts. All right. These two people are types of data analysts. Now, a financial analyst is a type of data analyst that has decided to niche down into financial data. So I recommend this program to people who have a background in finance, a background in accounting, or a background in, economics. All right. You have a background in finance, accounting, or economics. You are already a finance professional. You're an accountant, but you're looking to upskill. All right. Then this is the program for you. So you're going to be learning everything that a data analyst would learn. And then we take it a step further where you start to learn accounting fundamentals. All right. Your balance sheets, your income statements, right? You start to learn about the accounting cycle. You start to learn about financial modeling. How can you build financial models to make, projections for organizations? So one common use of a financial analyst is projections. Every company wants to know how they will do, by maybe next year. How much would they have made by next year? Your job as the financial analyst is to build a financial model that'll be able to predict to them and say, hey, so by next year, we'll probably be able to break even at a 30% margin or at a 15% margin or at a 20% margin and so on and so forth. Now, for all these different programs I've been talking about since I started, whether it is project management, it is data, it is business, financial analytics, all of them, you also be learning how you can use AI in that role. What that means is that AI cannot take over your job. You will be using AI on your job. All right. So you and AI will be doing the work together. You don't have to compete against AI. AI is not your enemy. AI is your best friend. So we'll also teach you how you can use AI to make your work easier and to make you more employable. Because if we have Antonia as a data analyst and Antonia doesn't know how to use AI, so there's a task that she would do it will take her 5 days to do it. And then we have someone like T, who is also a data analyst, but T knows how to use AI. And that same task that would take Antonia 5 days to complete, T can complete it in 30 minutes because she knows how to use AI. Who do you think the organization would employ? Of course, they'll go for T. So what we did was in every single program, we infused AI into it. So you also learn how to use AI in that role, whether as a project manager, as a business analyst, as a data analyst, and so on and so forth. So if you have a background in finance, all right, and you're looking to continue in that space, maybe now you want to become a financial analyst, an investment analyst, a portfolio analyst, then you want to go for the financial analytics program. It is very straightforward. Then for HR analytics, I mean, from the name, like the name implies, if you have a background in HR or an interest in human resources, now you want to become more than the regular, HR that just sends emails and sends policies. Now you want to also be able to use data to make sense of, employees, performance, and so on and so forth. Now you're going to be applying data analytical skills, to support your human resources function, as an HR manager. Now, what that means is that you also be learning everything that a data analyst would learn, but then you will learn how to carry out performance evaluation, HR, KPIs. How do you come up with KPIs, key performance indicators for employees in the organization? All right. How do you take a look at attrition metrics? How do you arrive at that? How do you calculate it? How do you also automate recruitment tracking? All right. Of course, there's ChatGPT. You learn how to use AI as an HR analyst as well. So if you are interested in HR or you have a background in HR and you want to continue in that field, but you want to upskill, then the HR program is for you. Now, I want you to put in the chats if you are going for financial analytics or you're going for HR. Put FA or HR in the chats. JJ says FA, pardon, Antonia says HR. Okay, Musa says FA. Fantastic. So I see finance professionals in the house. Now let's move on. Cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity is also a technical field that I only recommend to people who have a technical standing. So what that means is maybe you studied computer science in school, or you have worked as an IT support, you have worked as, you have worked in any tech capacity because then it makes it easier for you to blend in. Can a beginner get into this? The answer is yes, but it is hard. Okay. So I also want to make sure that when you get into any career path, you don't struggle. You are able to easily learn and you're also able to easily land a job. All right. Now, if you're an absolute beginner, but you're very interested in cybersecurity, just know that you have to put in the work 10 times more. So you always have to have specific times, maybe 2 hours every day that you're using to learn. All right. If you're an absolute beginner, but you want to get into cybersecurity, because if you are dedicated, you can do it. All right. Now, the job of a cybersecurity analyst, like the name implies, they are the digital security guards. All right. So the way you have your security guards at your gates, the cybersecurity analyst is the security guard, guarding our networks, guarding our databases, and so on and so forth to protect from external hackers trying to hack into the system and get, sensitive information about patients, about, users or employees in that organization. Now, there are three teams in cybersecurity. We have the red team, we have the blue team, and then we have the purple team. Now, the red team is where you have the attackers, the people who hack into systems, ethical hacking. All right. So you have your ethical hackers, you have your penetration testers. These are people who try to break into a system just to see if the system is strong or not. And then they can record their findings for organizations. So, for example, an organization could hire a penetration tester. So let's say cybersecurity, no, let's use an hypothetical organization now. Say there's an organization called Information Inc. That's the name of the organization. And Information Inc. has built a system, they built a platform that they're about to launch to the general public. Now, before Information Inc. launches this platform to the general public, and let's say Information Inc. deals with people's money, right? It's like a bank. Now, before they launch this system to the general public, they want to hire someone like a penetration tester to try to break into that system and identify vulnerabilities. Now, what they are trying to do is they're trying to protect themselves against future attacks. So they pay somebody to hack into their system. So they're telling you, hey, we're paying you right now and we want you to try to hack into our system and tell us if the system is strong enough for us to launch or if there are things that we need to fix in this system. So what would happen? What will usually happen is that the penetration tester goes in there and that person tries to hack into the system. That person identifies the vulnerabilities in that system and that person notes them down, prepares a report and sends it back to the organization. All right. Now we have people in the blue team, the SOC analysts, right? Now, people in the blue team, their job is to man the systems 24/7. They are the defenders. These are the people that protect against hack, right? So you have people, external hackers, of course, bad people trying to hack into a system. The people manning the systems that get alerts that someone is trying to hack into the system. Let's secure the premises. All right, let's secure the perimeters. These are the blue team members. All right, they're the defenders in the cybersecurity space. And then we have the purple team. Now, if you're familiar with your primary colors, you know that when you mix red and blue, you get purple. That is our specialty here at Analytics. Now, we're going to teach you about the activities of both the red team and the blue team. So you are a well-rounded individual. All right. So after the training, you can decide to niche down into, you say, when I learned about penetration testing in class, I really enjoyed it. So I want to become a penetration tester. Or when I learned about SOC analysis in class, I really enjoyed it. So I want to become a SOC analyst. What that does for you is you are able to understand the different activities that happens in the two teams. All right. Instead of you getting into a program, paying your money for it and saying, you know what, I want to become a penetration tester. And then midway into the program, you realize that pen testing is not for you. This way, you are able to test drive, right? What career path would be best for you within the cybersecurity ecosystem. Now, like I said, if you're someone who is very interested in, safeguarding networks or learning how to safeguard networks, you can go for cybersecurity. If you have a technical standing, if you studied computer science, if you have worked as an IT support, you can go for cybersecurity. If you're an absolute beginner that wants to go for cybersecurity, have it at the back of your mind that you need to be very dedicated, for this particular program. Now, if we have people who are interested in cybersecurity, I want you to go ahead and put CS in the chat. And then I'm going to be explaining the last two programs for you. Now, I'm very happy we have at least 70% of the people on this call have been able to identify programs that they're interested in. I'm trying to take a look at the chat to see. Okay, I see Israel, I see Daniel's. Fantastic. Fantastic. At least 70% of this call have been able to identify where they fall into. Great. Now we have DevOps engineering. DevOps means development and operations. So basically software development and, operations. So you are better than the average software developer. I'm just going to put it like that. And then you're going to be learning how to automate processes and how you can also integrate processes between software development and operations. What this means in layman terms is that more than just the development of the system, more than just, coming up with an application or the software, you are actually going to learn how to run the day-to-day and optimize that software. So you're able to monitor the performance of that software to see, okay, this is what has been built, all right, but this is how it is performing, and these are ways that we can make it better. So of course, what this tells you as well is that this is a role that is very much in high demand. Because if not, without DevOps, right, we have platforms that we use today that would have been made redundant. But when you have a DevOps engineer on ground that is continuously optimizing, that system, it just makes the system not redundant, for lack of a better word. All right. Now you're going to be learning across a space of 6 months. You'll be learning different philosophies, different fundamentals, everything you need to know about DevOps engineering. So if you have ever been interested in software engineering, you want to get into the engineering side of things, you can go for the DevOps engineering program. All right. You'll be learning about Docker. You'll be learning about continuous integration and continuous development. You'll be learning about the DevOps principle. Now, this is a beginner-friendly program. So for every program we offer here at Analytics, we start from the basics. So you don't even have to come into the program with any prior experience. We're going to start from the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of that program. All right, so we'll introduce you to the program. We teach you the basics. We teach you shell scripting. We teach you automations and so on and so forth. Now, let's move on to product design. If you have a thing for design, if you know that you like sketching things, maybe, I mean, it's not tech, right? You just like sketching things. You're an architect, you love arts, you love design, then this is the program for you. All right. Now you're going to be learning how to apply that's your hobby, that thing that you love so much to tech. How do you design products? How do you design applications? How do you design websites, mobile apps, and so on and so forth? Now, I'm going to tell you that for every application you have on your mobile phone, every single application you have on your mobile phone was designed by a product designer. All right. So you can also see how important product design is in the tech world. So you're going to be learning the foundations of UX research, that's user experience. What would actually make the experience, when a user opens an application, what will make them navigate through that application easily? All right. That's why when you use apps, you see that, oh, this app is very simple to use. Once you open the app, even without watching a tutorial or anything, you're just able to play around on the app and you figure out where things are and how to use that application. That is the job of a product designer. That is not the job of a software engineer. All right. So product design is equally as important. And this is for people who have an eye for design. If you are, maybe you have worked as a graphic designer before, you're looking to upskill, or you just love sketching things. When you see a good design, you're able to identify that, oh, this is a good design. Oh, this app looks beautiful. Then product design is for you. Once Just give me a minute. Okay. So right now, I want us to go ahead and put in the chat if you have, been able to identify at least which of these career paths would be best for you. Put a one in the chat. If you have been able to identify which of these career paths would be best for you, just go ahead and put a one in the chat. So I'm looking in the chat right now. I'm looking in the chat right now to see if I have people who have been able to identify the best career path. All right, fantastic. Now let's move right into everything that we want to discuss today. Now I'm here to tell you this, all right? Before we wrap up, there's something very important that I would love to share with us. If you can still hear me, please give me a thumbs up. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Just put an emoji, any emoji of choice in the chat. All right, thank you, Zoom user. That has confirmed it for me. Now, the truth is that, global hiring, because I know that a lot of us on here, the reason why we're here is because we were looking to land a remote role. Okay. Now, global hiring runs on cycles, and, preparation must run ahead of it. What this just simply means is that, if you want to get hired globally, if you're looking to, land a role, in the global markets today, you must be prepared. So there are usually things we call, hiring cycles. And there was the first boom. The initial boom was in January. All right. Between January and February, organizations hire a lot en masse. Okay. They hire a lot. So this screen is glitching. I'm just going to use this screen just to make sure that you can see my screen properly. Now, organizations are hiring a lot, right, across different sectors. The initial boom, like I mentioned earlier, it usually happens in January, right? Between January and February. Now, hiring does not necessarily happen randomly. In the UK, in the US, in Canada, these companies are ramping up their recruitments, right? So the first hiring boom happens January, February, and then the next one happens around June, July, and then we have the final one that happens in September. All right. So these companies start to ramp up so that between June and July, they can start, hiring to prepare for new projects, to prepare for new budgets, and so on and so forth. Now, when these organizations start to hire in June, they're not going to be hiring beginners. They're going to be hiring people who are already trained, people who have portfolios, people who can start contributing to whatever project it is that they're working on immediately. So I want to say this to you. If you know that you are serious about remote work, if you know that you're serious about landing global opportunities, if you know that you're serious about landing a job that would offer you visa sponsorship in 2026, your preparation cannot start in June. Your preparation has to start right now. All right. So when you start in March, okay, what that prepares you for is you can spend the next few weeks building real skills. You can spend the next few weeks working on practical projects. Emphasis on practical projects, because from your very first live class, you get to work on practical projects with us. And then you can start creating a portfolio that shows or proves that you can do what you say you can do. Remember that your portfolio is your workshop, right? That is your proof of concept. Now, when you start by March, by May, you are already job ready. By June, you're already applying for jobs. And by the second half of the year, by the time we enter Q2 or the second quarter of the year, you are already positioned for opportunities that many people may not be ready for until 2027. So now the thing is, if you wait till June or if you wait till May, to start learning, you might miss the hiring cycle. But if you can start learning in March, you can enter the hiring cycle prepared. So we have person A that starts in March, And then we have person B that starts in May. All right. Same people, same teaching, they have the same potentials and the same skills. But person A has a better advantage over person B because person A started earlier and they can get into the hiring cycle by June. It all has to do with the timing. So if this is something you have been thinking about, you want to transition into tech, you want to start working remotely, you want to start earning better, you want to start positioning yourself for global opportunities, or you're looking for a job that would, take you out of your birth country. If you're looking to, migrate to maybe the US, the UK, all right, the March cohort is a very important class for you because that is your preparation window. Now, the truth is that you don't necessarily have to decide this minute. But what I want to tell you is the hiring cycle will move forward with or without you, whether you're ready or not. The hiring cycle will happen in June and July. We also have visa cycles happening across these different regions, the UK, the US, and Canada, June, July. So if you're ready to position yourself for what's coming, then you want to join the next cohort that starts on the 7th of March. That is how you can get started. All right. So join the next cohort on the 7th of March. My colleagues will be sharing the enrollment link shortly, and then we'll also be guiding you through the steps. So we have all 10 programs that we offer here. And then the original pricing for every single one of our programs is 1,250 US dollars. But for 20 people on this session right now, and I'm quite happy to see the number, we have times 5 of that number, but I only have a discounted slot for 20 people. For 20 people who are able to register from this session, you get 20% off. That means instead of paying 1,250 US dollars, you are able to get in with 1,000 US dollars. And there is a payment plan. All right, you can split your payments for as many as 5 times for just 20 people. Now, it doesn't end there. There is also a special offer. For the 20 people that are registering today, again, this is not slow and steady wins the race. The first 20 people to register, you are able to skip to the front of the line. Now, what does this mean? You get priority CV LinkedIn optimization. I mentioned earlier that this is part of the total package, all right? When you start the program with us, 3 months in, we revamp your CV and so on and so forth. But these 20 people, these 20 special people I'm talking about on this call today, right? If you're able to register today, you get to revamp your CV within 10 working days. So you skip to the front of the line immediately. What that means is we already start to work on your CV. We reach out to you, we collect your CV and we work on your CV within 10 working days. You don't have to wait for the standard 3 months. That's just what it means. You also get a priority slot for LinkedIn optimization. So you don't have to wait till the class starts. The class starts on the 7th of March, pardon. You don't have to wait till the 7th of March. You can get started right now. All right. For these 20 people, you also be added to the exclusive founder cycle. Now, this only happens 2 times in a year. 2 times in a year, we have a cycle with our founders where you get direct access to the founders of 10 Analytics, right? You're able to get tailored guidance on the jobs that you need to apply to. All right. You're able to get guidance from the founders directly at Deiza Suleiman and Efemena before the cohort starts. And you also get a personalized roadmap that would help you with your transition. How do you move from where you are currently and break into tech and land your first job? Just 20 people, because we keep this cycle small. Again, it is exclusive, right? Now, you also get immediate access to mentorship sessions. You don't have to wait till the class starts next month. You're able to start learning from industry experts. You're able to gain insights into the UK. You're able to gain insights into Canada, into the US job market as well. You start to get practice sessions on how you can answer interview questions. So while others are waiting for the cohorts to start, you are already getting prepared. You're already learning. That is what it means to skip to the front of the line. All right. Now, if you are in the UK and you're also interested in the UK global, talent visa, or you're looking to move to the UK, and this is something that you're interested in, you have access to alternative UK visa pathways. You'll be getting insider level knowledge again from the founders, immigration knowledge, everything you need to know about, how to go about immigration, and this is something that people pay a lot of money for. You'll be getting it for free, but this is just for 20 people. It would also include a reference letter to back up your submission. So when you're submitting, your application for the UK Global Talent Visa, you also have a reference letter from us here at Analytics. Then we are going to be working with you directly until you land your very first interview. You get the direct support and mentorship from the founders. All right. Till you land your very first interview, we are holding your hand every step of the way. Of course, I said we review your CV, we optimize your LinkedIn, priority slots for you. And then you also get exclusive access to job sprint sessions where we show you where and how to apply to jobs. Again, this is something that you would not have to wait for your class to do. So we are giving you a 3-month interview guarantee for the first 20 people. And then finally, of course, we will always be ready for you whenever the opportunity arises. You have lifetime interview prep access. You have lifetime access to references, and you have lifetime access to mentorship. Again, this is only for 20 people. Now I'm going to be showing you how you can, leverage this advantage right now on the call. And then my colleagues are already dropping the link in the chat. So you want to make sure that whatever you are doing, you are among the first 20 people to register from this session because I only have 20 slots. So let's just give my screen a minute. It's coming up, but I can already see the links in the chat. So I see some comments in the chat as well that, I will be answering very shortly. I will be answering your questions shortly. But now I'm just going to show you how you can also take advantage of not just the discounts, but you are able to skip to the front of the line. Again, just 20 people from this session. Now, the first thing you are going to do is you're going to click on the link to the enrollment center that my colleagues are already dropping in the chats. Then you identify your program of interest. From my explanations, you know where you fall, whether you fall in project management, business analysis, data analytics, data science. You want to identify your program of interest. Now, after identifying your program of interest, the next thing you want to do, just make sure you block out all the noise. We have all the programs that we offer here, but just pick one that you would be registering for. Then you click on buy now. So let's say I select data analytics. I'm going to click on buy now for data analytics. And when you click on buy now, it opens up the program description. Every single thing that you need to know about this program, you can see that it is beginner friendly. You can see the course duration, which is 6 months of learning in class with your facilitator, as well as 2 months of internship. And the minimum number of projects you get to work on. You get to work on at least 8 comprehensive projects that you can add to your CV. You also have access to the curriculum, so you can see what you'll be learning every single week, right, on the screen. So you can take your time to go through the curriculum. But right here, you have this button that says enroll now. So you want to click on enroll now. And once you click on enroll now, you'll be asked to create a free account. It's going to take you less than 1 minute. You just need your full name, your email address, and your phone number. So you go ahead to create your free account, and then you are able to select when you would like to start. So if you would like to join the March cohort or the April cohort, all right? So yes, the registration is ongoing right now for the March cohort, but for people who are too busy right now, maybe you feel like, March is going to be a busy month for you. So instead of registering or starting in March, you would like to start in April. You can still take advantage of the discounts that is ongoing and skip to the front of the line. All you have to do is select which of the classes you'd like to join, whether you'd like to join March or April. Now, once you select that, you have your payments plan available to you. Now, the original price, like I mentioned earlier, is 1,250 US dollars, and it's currently discounted at $1,000. Depending on the payment plan that you choose, you get to save a little bit more. So if you want to pay everything at once, you'll be paying 850 US dollars instead of 1,000 US dollars. If you want to pay in two installments, you'll be paying 900 US dollars instead of 1,000 US dollars. And then, of course, if you want to split your payments into as many as five installments, meaning you want to pay five times, you don't have the entire $1,000 right now, which is okay. All you have to do is select this payment plan. And then what it means is you need a minimum deposit of 200 US dollars right now. The first 20 people, you need a minimum deposit of 200 US dollars to secure your spots using this discount and skip to the front of the line. So just select the most convenient payment plan, click on apply discount, and go ahead to make payments using your card. All right. So this is how the registration works. It is very simple, easy peasy. Now I'm going to be looking in the chat and I will start taking questions. So I already see some registrations coming in. I see registrations coming in. So we no longer have 20 slots available. Right now, we have 13 slots available. 7 people just registered. So my colleagues are dropping the link in the chat. While I take your questions, just make sure you are part of the first 20 people. Okay? Now let me look at the chat right now and go over the questions. So I'm just going to go to the beginning and see if there are any questions for me. Okay, let's see. So someone asked, what about auditing background? That is Jolayemi. Jolayemi, I'm hoping you're still on the call to get the answer to your question. So if you have a background in auditing, you can get into either you want to go into cybersecurity if you're interested in GRC, or you can go into finance, right? Financial analytics. So just go ahead to register either for the financial analytics program. I would prefer you go for the financial analytics program, all right? Because you're already an auditor. Let's go. Quick question. Elamin says, is there IT support in your program? So I'm not sure I get that question. Do you mean do we offer a course for IT support? If you're interested in IT support, Elamin, then cybersecurity is your best bet. So you can register for the cybersecurity program. Bola says, I have data analysis certificate. I want business analyst. Fantastic. Bola, I believe it's very straightforward for you. You can just go ahead to register for the business analysis program. Moses says, but a business analyst has more deliverables than a project manager. Moses, it depends on how you're looking at it, okay? I wouldn't say one career path has more deliverables than the other. They're different, okay? So it just depends on how you look at it. A lot of things go down in project management. You are doing a lot. It's not easy to, be in charge of people and also keep track of documentation as well. So the business analyst doesn't have more deliverables. You just have to select which one aligns best for you. Like I said earlier, if you're confused between going for business analysis and going for project management, then you want to choose business analysis because you also have project management embedded in the business analysis program. All right. So make sure. Oh, Cleopas says, thank you so much for the explanations. I am quite impressed. Thank you so much, Cleopas, for your kind words. So make sure to put your questions in the chat. I am taking questions. Ma says, I am confused on how I can succeed in business analysis and PM. My foundation is animal science. I came to the UK for a master's program in international business. I've done some marketing in the past. I'm an extrovert to an extent. However, I'm into care at the moment. Please, how can my CV be revamped to suit a remote role? Analytics exists today because of people like Uma. So Uma, I'm here to tell you that you will do wonderfully well as a business analyst. I hope you're still on the call listening to me. All right, go ahead and register for the business analysis program. And when it comes to revamping your CV, you don't have to worry. Again, if you're part of the first 20 people, I still see registrations coming in. So if you're part of the next 10 people to register, actually, we're going to revamp your CV for you within 10 days. So it's not something that you have to worry about. We are going to work on that for you. So just stop worrying about that. All right. And go ahead to register for the business analysis program. When is the next cohort for BA starting and how are classes structured in a way that favors those who are working? Thank you. So now the next cohort, like I said, starts on the 7th of March. And as for how classes are structured, you have a blend of live classes, like I explained earlier, as well as, drop-in sessions and self-paced learning. Now for your live classes, there are two different timings for the live classes to accommodate different time zones. So you have the morning class, which is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. And that is, very convenient for people joining in from the UK, people joining in from, within the EU time zone. All right. Or if you're joining from Africa, Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. And then the evening class is Saturday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. Very convenient for people joining in from Canada or the US because that should be around 10 a.m. your time. So, and all of these classes are always recorded. So if for any reason you miss a live class, you have access to that live class as well as, the recording of that session, as well as the materials that were used in class. And you have direct access to your facilitators to ask questions. Now you have your live classes happen 2 times a month. So 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, you have a live class, right? And, I call these marathon classes because they are 3 to 4 hours long. And we don't want to overwhelm you with too many classes. So you have those marathon classes twice a month. And that's where you get to work on projects, supervised projects. Now, during the week, you have an open window for some of the programs, you have an open window between Mondays to Fridays to book a session with your facilitator at your convenient time. So we are putting the power back in your hands. All right. So you're able to book a session and say, hey, you know what? I'm free on Wednesday by 12 p.m. Let me book a session with my facilitator so I can speak because I need extra guidance. And then you are also able to attend that session. And those drop-in sessions are also recorded as well. So that is the structure we put in place to be able to support people from different time zones as well as people who are working. If you miss any session, not to worry, the recording of that session will be made available to you. So let's see if I have more questions in the chat. Henry says, I studied mechanical engineering. Would it be easier for me to do data engineering? So it is way more than that, Henry. So yes, you can go into data engineering, but I would suggest don't go into data engineering because of the engineering part of it. I'll suggest you get into data science first, all right? And then much later, you can transition into data engineering because like I said, data quite technical. So you can get into data science and then land your dream job, all right? And after earning some money on that job for some months or years, depending on you, you can decide to transition and just upskill yourself into data engineering. But at that time, it is much easier for you to just land a job as a data engineer. All right, so let's keep going. I have a master's degree in accounting from Ghana, currently in the UK. Which course would you recommend? So I see my colleague already responded, Asamoah. The financial analytics program would be the best bet for you. So let's see. Any more questions? Can you go over the BA and PM? So Yvonne, what you want to do is you want to fill the attendance form because this session is recorded. So if you missed it, then you want to fill the attendance form, get access to the recording and watch it. Doing says you didn't ask for people that want to learn DevOps to indicate in the chat. Doing, if you're interested in DevOps, instead of indicating in the chat, just go ahead, to register. Okay. Um, okay. Let's see if we have any more questions. I'm just going through. So we can go ahead to stop the recording now and let me go through the questions in the chats. iPhone says, what if you have already recorded? What if you